Sounds good.
Any questions?
No.
So you have done this before?
No. Well, I kind of have. Yeah, I lie.
Oh, really?
He's an alumni.
An alumni, I love it. Welcome to Moviefone's Unscripted. I'm Mark Forster. I'm here with Daniel Craig to talk about our film Quantum of Solace. We're going to ask each other some questions, some of your questions, as well as some of our own. And I will start with the first question. Your Bond is an extremely physical character. How old is it too old to play Bond?
I think it'll be obvious when it's too old.
Like,
I think, yeah, when I can't walk anymore, I think it'll be obvious. I mean, I think you'll agree. It's like that thing, if you do it until if it doesn't feel right and it doesn't look right, then you stop. I mean, I think.
I agree. And sometimes, I guess it's one just feels that. I think it's a natural thing.
Or someone hopefully tells you.
Yes. Exactly.
Someone you trust.
Yeah.
So if there was one Bond villain in the past that you could write into the new series, who would it be and why?
I mean, I always liked sort of Jaws.
Did you?
Yes,
oh, wow.
because he's so over the top,
and
it's like, in a sense, like so cliche that it wouldn't work with at all in our movie.
Yeah.
But
although I think he could have been an extra in one of the Bolivian bars, don't you? And nobody would have noticed.
Exactly. Yeah, we could have done that, but I just think, and I always loved Blofeld.
Yeah, no,
because there was a nice touch to Blofeld.
Yeah,
and
maybe he'll return one day. I think it'll be quite good. I mean, especially, we get the cat back in.
Yes, the cat is just like before I got involved when we met for the first time. Sort of how were you nervous? Like, what kind of ideas is he going to have, or how, because you did the character before? How did you feel about that? I was
very confident. I mean, I'm a fan of your work, so that always was a kind of good starting place. Because I've done one of these before, and I know how long it takes to do and how much effort's put in, and the whole kind of psychological, emotional process that goes on within this 6-month period. Meeting you and knowing what you'd done, I had total confidence in your ability to survive.
But by the way, you didn't warn me about those.
No, well,
you didn't mention.
I mean, what do you say to somebody?
Get into?
It's not going to be good. I mean, you can't. I mean, certainly the last thing you want to do is get negative about it. But you can't really prepare somebody for it, because I mean, you've made a lot of films. I've made a lot of films, and there's usually about a 3-month shooting period that you kind of work in. You work very hard, and it's over. At 3 months on a Bond movie, you're halfway through, and there's no way you can explain to somebody what that feels like. It's like you're just at the tip of the peak, and there's a long way down. But it's amazing, isn't it? Because we got to the last 2 weeks, and it felt like
one of the reasons actually I wanted to go to so many locations because I felt like
to keep busy.
Yes, to keep busy. That I'm always escaping from one location to the next. No. At least I don't feel the time pressure.
Did it work out like that?
Yeah, it's sort of mentally it still kept me, because it was like when we got back to Austria, I felt like a new beginning. Mm-hmm. What has been your worst acting job?
Thanks, Robin Brooklyn. And there's a few things that have been tough. There's a couple of early jobs I did that I'd rather forget, especially when trying to get my union card in England, which involved dressing up as all sorts of things. But I think the thing to do in acting is try to have as few regrets as possible. So you have to try and make the choices, but they happen. You've got to pay the rent. So there's a couple of films that I
you want to recommend a few?
No. This is why I don't want to talk about them really. If I can possibly help it, I don't want people to see them.
So let's mention not any titles.
But there was one film that there was a couple of films that I'd walk into Blockbusters and it would be on the shelf at the low end, and I'd always grab it and throw it throw it so nobody could find it. That is Arturo in Panama City. Oh, that's nice. Why did you choose Panama as the setting for Quantum of Solace? What was the biggest challenge you encountered while filming there?
I chose Panama because of Cologne. And Cologne is sort of, for the people who don't know where Cologne is, it's on the Caribbean side of the Panama Canal. And I think it's just such an incredible visual place. And the layers and textures and colors just inspired me. And I felt they would not just feel right for Haiti, but also they just had this incredible look to it. And I thought it would bring this incredible character to it.
It gave such an atmosphere on the set. I mean, we got warned about all sorts of things, didn't we, in Cologne? But and I'm sure there was danger there in some respects, but we got treated with such respect, and there seemed to be joy about the fact that we were there. And it did have a definite effect on the crew, didn't it? And I'm sure had then an indirect or direct effect on what's on screen.
If James Bond had to pick one Bond girl to spend the rest of his life with on a desert island, which one should he pick?
God.
I think Bond doesn't pick just one girl.
No, I know.
On a deserted island.
Why pick
Why
one?
would he? Why would Bond pick just one girl to spend on a deserted island?
It's difficult, isn't it? I mean, obviously the most practical and the most. I don't think there's too many to choose from. If we'd only done about 5 films, I think that there were 5 films in the history of that would be an easier choice. But there's so many Bond girls. The sexiest, nicest, practical, most beautiful one of all. I can't think who that is. There's many that would fulfill that criteria, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I think that the Bond itself wouldn't actually spend the rest of his life with just one girl.
I think the fact is that if they were stuck on a desert island, he'd find a way to get off. I mean, so whoever it was would, hopefully, just get involved with that.
You think the girl would get off, or you? I always wonder when in the action sequences we did, how is that when you're in a suit? And you're dealing with the flexibility of it and that stuff.
Well,
that ever
we have with the suits we get made. Obviously we've got sort of 10 repeats. Or at least 10 repeats of each suit, depending on what action sequence we're doing. But we always get at least 2 sizes. One which fits perfectly and is all tailored in and looks good, and then another one which is maybe 2 sizes bigger, that we can put all the padding in underneath. Tom Ford's tailoring is particularly good, so in fact, very rarely could you actually see when I'm wearing the padding. And they didn't. I mean, they stood up. I mean, we set them on fire and ripped them and tore them, and they stood up.
But you never felt in the jackets uncomfortable to move?
No, that was very much about a lot of the work we put in before we started shooting with the costume department was to to get it out and wear them and make sure that there was no restrictions.
Yeah.
I mean, they did. They fell to pieces at times, but that was usually only because someone had cut them or sort of to make them rip. So they lasted quite well.
Yeah.
Is that Tom Ford?
No.
Right. Okay. If you could perform the next Bond song, who would you choose for the duet?
I think that's probably it's a tough one, but
Maria Callas.
Huh?
Maria Callas.
Maria Callas is a very good. Maybe Celine Dion.
Yeah, pushing the boat out now.
I think she would have sort of my voice range.
Yeah, I think she would. Yeah,
I think
you could keep up with her.
Yes, I think I could.
Right.
Yes. What's the best part about playing James Bond?
The truth, I think, there's lots of things. I mean, the obvious things are, having lovely locations and driving beautiful cars and all those things. They're a given as far as I'm concerned. But for me, genuinely, it's the collaborative process. We work and we get to work with some of the best people in the business on a big movie, which is rare. I mean, and could considerably be rarer in the future. And that whole process for me of being on set with you and the crew and the actors and achieving something like that, it just gives me the biggest kick. It's a really good job, and I try and enjoy every second of it when I'm filming. There we go.
Thank you, Thank you,
darling.
Thank you, darling. Thank you, Daniel, Moviefone, and to you for watching and sending in your questions. And please check out our film Porno of Solace, because we both, I think, the world of it. But I actually made the Bond film I always wanted to see, so I'm pretty happy with it.
Nice.
This was strange.
Strange. Very strange.
Is this
Phil would
more?
do stranger things.
Perfect.
That's not real.
That was
I know that's not.
All right.